and the guy is in budget, the only way you can implement your plan is through the budget. And so you must have this link. And once you don't have this link, and the mentality, the mindset out there says, the budget is for us, we can't spend money because we have a budget. And nobody's thinking about the revenue. Nobody's thinking about the programs and policies and so on that you put in place and how it's going to be funded. Then you have a problem. And so for me, it was a master stroke.
You weighed in on that conversation on devaluation. I mean, I saw your column on the back page of one of the dailies. What eventually, was the conclusion? I think you should share some of your conclusions. On
devaluation?
Yes.
My views are very known. Well canvassed. I did an article. The one I did before then was not the panacea. I'm not saying that you shouldn't touch devaluation. I'm not saying so. And as was observed during this colloquium, cable colloquium, some countries the world leverage on devaluation to improve on their competitive advantage. Not too long ago, the Chinese, they tried to devalue, and Americans were up in arms. They said, no, you wouldn't do that, because that would precipitate competitive devaluation, because they're fighting, just as OPEC is fighting for market share. Everybody's trying to fight for your market share. And so if you're going to devalue and make your products more competitive, then you're going to be taking our market share. And so the World Trade Organization says, look, we won't allow us, we have to monitor the system, make sure that people behave as they should behave. And they say, look, we must not allow that to happen. So you can do that. But the valuation in this, as in our present circumstance, won't get us anywhere. Now, what is happening today, you have what's happening in the power market, and it's fluctuating. Now, I say to myself, yes, okay, it's all right, it should happen. What has caused that? So the central bank says we are going to start funding Bureau de Change.
What, in your opinion, has caused that?
You mean the Bureau de Change?
No, the parallel market.
I mean, the supply was drained. Partly the supply was drained, and partly it's a blackmail.
Isn't it back to the symptoms?
Well, okay, all right. I talk about symptoms, but I say that we have symptoms, but then we have a challenge. So the roof is leaking, and you're talking about building on the edifice.
The supply of what was drained? The supply of the naira was drained.
The supply of dollars.
Yes, that was what made the price shoot up.
Yes.
But what made the price come down? The federal government did not all of a sudden supply dollars to the market.
I think something happened. Did you listen to Ifan Yuba? Ifan Yuba did say that. Ifan Yuba says he bring it down to 200 naira to $1.
So you should believe he had something to do with it?
No, I don't know. But I think that it's very easy. If you pump in money in the private market today, it will crash. And I think what's happening is good.
It's about demand and supply.
Yes, about demand and supply. And I think what's happening is good in the sense that some people are going to have their fingers burnt. There are speculators there who have taken positions. They bought dollars, not because this dollar is needed for some urgent transactions. They bought these dollars and they are stocking these dollars and they're waiting because they think that it's going to go up.
So they hoard it.
They hoard it. So it's going to go up. When it goes up and it's come to a stage, I'm going to sell and rent seeking. Okay? And so now if it drops, and so if I wish it would drop a bit further, then people begin to realize that you can't take an easy bet on the rate of exchange.
So are you one of those who believe that it's artificially induced?
I think so. It wouldn't crash that way. As soon as central bank said to Bureau de Change, we're not going to fund you anymore. Go and get your funds. And an attempt was made, to make it look so bad, to see if I can get central bank to revise his position. That's exactly what has happened. There's no way. It was getting to 400 and something, And I know that those in authorities in the central bank, they're waiting. They know what's happening. And they say, let it go to any height and let's see what will happen. As far as this economy is concerned, the interbank rate is the rate. I listened to that colloquium. I'm saying, which is the rate? Yes, okay. People take a decision. If I'm a business person and I'm going to get foreign exchange, I'm going to take a decision and say, look, I might not get, if I got from a channel, the next time I go through this process, I might not get through this channel. So let me hedge my bet. I'll price it at
I'm just wondering, have you written about these bank charges as well? Because there are lots of people speaking about it saying, look, what is going on with these banks? Yes, we know CBN has said a thing or two about it, but the charges continue.
Well, I think that the bank charges, unfortunately, I don't have issues with my bank, because sometimes they're going to do that.
Properly.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to do that. Sometimes they look at those that don't want to do that with, because some of us, go in there.
I don't believe you, because truly, no one is going to do that to you, because you've been in the sector and you're still one of the Nigeria's best economists. But a lot of charges.
They're not doing that to me too. So
they know you have a platform.
I've been wondering what banks my colleagues are using.
They know you have a platform.
We're not talking personally now. We're talking about comments and issues that people have raised. Yes. And for one, he said even taking his own money, 50 naira is being deducted. So if you went to your bank to withdraw your money 10 times, you're going to pay your stamp duties 10 times. Perhaps, do you think that the issue of stamp duties, don't forget that some other banks also charge 100 naira when you do your internet banking transaction. For each transaction, 100 naira fee is taken. So how does the CBN come up with maybe some form of rules or guidelines that can help streamline this, so that you know that you're getting a one-off, perhaps one-off deduction for such?
It's going to be difficult to get one-off deduction, because then you find that the deductions are made on various transactions. Like you did say, for instance, if you use your ATM, to withdraw money, and then if you've done 3 times, outside the bank, you have your account domiciled, you pay 65 naira, So it has to be based specific. But I think that what central bank would have to do, and that's exactly what central bank is doing. Central bank has a responsibility to protect the average bank customer, because the average bank customer is relative. The bank is in a very weak position. Some of the bank customers that are doing business and so on, they couldn't even bother, what you're going to charge. And so you need somebody who would stand there and begin to say, look, what are the charges?
When you have so much money.
Money, yes, and then you are talking of 100 naira, 200 naira, 50 naira, stamp duty.
It depletes. So let's say 200 naira or maybe 100,000, you get to know.
Yes.
It's a valid question that my colleague is raising, because if, for instance, you say that you haven't experienced that, and I haven't experienced that, at least in one of the banks that I use, the one I use the most often.
Both of you have too much money.
No, it's not that. I mean, I haven't quite noticed that. I think it's very important that it be looked into, because it would seem that some banks are taking advantage of that rule, to overdo perhaps something that they could have done just once or twice, and be kind to their customers.
Well, you see, that's why central bank has come up with a circular. Central bank has said that we've fined banks 6.7 billion, last year for overcharging, and they say to customers, whenever you are overcharged by your bank, come back to us. We have a consumer protection department. The whole department is supposed to protect the consumer. So the central bank is proactive. To make sure that there's a level playing field for everybody. And so all you need to do, if you feel that your bank has shortchanged you, is for you to, I think that you can make a call, you can send and complain, and central bank will take it from there.
Mr. Chizea, we've already been wounded up. Just quickly though, I mean, you watched the conversation on the valuation of the Naira. What other conversation would you like us to have like that as a, maybe in the private sector or as a country?
You mean in terms of which constituencies we have in the conversation?
It may not matter the constituencies, but the nature of the conversation. Okay,
nature of conversation, if you ask me. I think that we need to make sure that we need to get the structure of our federation. It's not, we don't have a federation. Part autonomy referred to it, partly in this conversation. We don't have a federation. A situation whereby the states, for instance, monthly have to come to the federal allocation account, FAC, and they're so dependent on it, and they're profligate. They don't manage their resources. They don't generate revenue internally. It's not acceptable. A situation whereby I think there are lots of responsibilities will have to be shared, and we have to get back to, if we're going to have a conversation. I think we started that conversation in the sense that we had the one we had before President Jonathan conference, national conference. And I think that I'm on ground to say that one of the things that we expect from this government is that where certain things have happened and they've been documented, look at the amount of resources I went into holding that conversation, the amount of expenditure this country incurred, that we need to go back and dig up those papers. You don't have to adopt everything. And it cuts across. It's not just the conversation, because we find that lots of things here in terms of how do you structure this economy. So we're going to have any conversation. It's how do we structure our activities in such a way that the gray areas, the overlaps are reduced.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Mr. Boniface Chizea is an economist. We will be back and focus on another matter entirely, not exactly about the economy. Find out when we return.